Hey, seventh graders. So we're starting a new unit today where we're focusing on how matter and energy cycle through an ecosystem. So kind of what that looks like is we're going to start out talking about photosynthesis. So how do plants use carbon dioxide, water, and energy of the sun to make their own food? And then after they make their own food, what happens to it? Okay, so the next chapter we're going to focus on cell respiration. We eat the plants and steal their food, and then we use that for energy in our body, and then how does that cycle back to plants? So one of the main things we're going to be talking about when we're talking about cycling of energy and matter is carbon, and again, that energy is how we get plants from energy and how that kind of cycles through our atmosphere. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to focus on in the first chapter in this unit is going to be photosynthesis. And now I know all of you at some point have talked about photosynthesis and know a little bit about it, but I'm just going to kind of get you guys starting to think about photosynthesis and why it's important. So we're going to go ahead and move on to this next slide, and there's a little YouTube video I want you guys to watch. So you guys will open this link, and the video itself is called Why Dinosaurs Went Extinct. So it's a pretty short video. Let me skip this ad really quick. There's no words. There's no words to this video. You guys are just going to kind of watch. And then you guys are going to tie in how photosynthesis took place or how it played a part in the extinction of dinosaurs. So obviously you guys know a big old meteor fell from the sky. It caused a lot of issues, including ash and things like that being spread across the land. And then that ultimately caused a lot of dinosaurs to die. So how do you think plants and photosynthesis played a role in the extinction or survival of the dinosaurs? So after that comet hit, where do plants come in? Okay, why was it important for plants to be there and to have photosynthesis, and why weren't they there? So you guys will kind of see little hints to that in the video, but it's not very direct. So you guys are just gonna kind of have to piece that puzzle together on your own. Okay, so after you answer that question, then we're gonna move on and do a little photosynthesis acrostic. I do not want you guys to Google anything for this acrostic because I want to know what you know, okay? I want you to be able to tell me what you know about photosynthesis. So an acrostic, just to kind of get you guys started, is a word game in which each letter in a word forms a new line, word, or sentence. So here's the example that I use of my name. So you can see spelling it down, Miss Crawford. So might be a little crazy. The S is for smiley. C, coaches softball at HHS. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a personality trait. It could be just something that I do, something about me. Okay, R, really could use a nap right now. Open-minded, fun, undeniably excited about science, and then my T's were teaches science, and then 2 kiddos at home keep me busy. So now you guys kind of learned a little bit about me. Again, it's not just my personality, it's a little bit about what I do outside of school as well. Okay, so that was my acrostic using my name, but of course you guys are not going to do an acrostic using your name. You guys are going to do an acrostic about photosynthesis. Okay, so now you will write an acrostic using the word photosynthesis, using what you know about photosynthesis, not what the internet knows. Okay, so don't Google anything. I want you guys to piece together and tell me as much as you know. Okay, you can use sentences, words, or short phrases. So on the next slide, you guys notice the question mark. That is where you guys are going to do your little acrostic. So photosynthesis is spelled vertically here. So next to the P, you guys might put plants, okay? Because we know that plants are the ones who do photosynthesis, okay? So it might be something like, what do you need for some photosynthesis? Where does this happen in a plant? Can anything else do photosynthesis? Those kinds of things. So there's a lot of options that you guys can use to spell this out. You just have to be creative and be able to use your words. So maybe if you didn't use P for plants, you guys could look in another one and say, our plants use photosynthesis, okay? What's the whole point of photosynthesis, okay? Anything that you guys can think of that's related to photosynthesis will work for you guys. So really, that's up to you guys. Like I said, it can be just a simple word like saying plants. It could be a phrase like has to have what? Sunlight, okay? Or it could be a full sentence, okay? Photosynthesis only occurs in plants. Okay, so at any rate, you guys will complete that whole word. You guys got to think of something for every letter. Okay, and then we're going to revisit this later after we've learned a little bit more. You guys will be able to come back and maybe do a little correction on that. All right, last part of this little assignment today is the Sunlight and Life article. So this is an article I want you guys to read and amplify. So you're going to go ahead, right-click, open the link. It's going to pull you into Amplify. And you guys have 3 options for your reading today. So I'm going to read to you the introduction. And then you guys are going to either choose Arctic seasons, coral reefs in clear water, or light shafts on the rainforest floor. Okay, so whichever one you guys decide to read, please use your draw tool to circle. So notice the question marks. That tells you that there's something for you guys to do here. So choose which article you guys want to read about and give it a circle there so I know which article you read. Okay, if you guys don't circle that, I'm going to assume you did not read anything. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the introduction. Remember again that you guys can use this little button up here to help you guys go wherever you need to go without having to scroll to the bottom and hit next. Okay, so both of those are options to scroll, but this one's by far the easiest. So the introduction, we got a picture of a lake here. So the edges of lakes where the water is shallow and sunlight can shine all the way to the bottom have much more life than the deep spots where water blocks the sunlight. The edge of a big lake is full of life. Fish dart through the bright green reeds, ducks dive for algae growing in the shallow mud, and insects buzz everywhere. However, if you go out to the middle of the lake and dive to the bottom, you'll find a dead zone, a dark and barren area with hardly any organisms. No fish, no plants, not much of anything. Why do some areas support so much life while others are relatively lifeless? To survive, organisms need energy, and this energy comes from energy storage molecules. These molecules store energy that can be released in an organism's body. Energy storage molecules include glucose, starch, and fat. Ecosystems with lots of organisms need to have lots of energy storage molecules to keep all of those organisms alive. Some ecosystems contain lots of energy storage molecules, while others don't contain as many. Only producers, such as plants, can make the energy storage molecules that fuel life in an ecosystem. Energy storage molecules are made up mostly of carbon, and carbon is all around us in the form of carbon dioxide gas. Producers take in carbon dioxide molecules from air and water. Using energy from sunlight, producers combine the carbon dioxide molecules with water molecules, changing them into glucose molecules and oxygen molecules. This process is called photosynthesis. Through photosynthesis, producers take carbon from abiotic matter and move it into biotic matter. So the abiotic matter would be like the carbon and the carbon dioxide, okay? Gas isn't living, air isn't living, so we're going to call that abiotic. And we'll talk about this vocab later. And move it into biotic matter. So biotic, bio means life. So this is living matter, and obviously that plant is a living organism. So they take it out of the air and they move it into their living self or their living form in the form of glucose. Then the organisms in an ecosystem can use that glucose to make other energy storage molecules like starch and fat. So you guys can see this little diagram that just shows you guys here's energy from the sun, here's carbon dioxide molecules from the air, and then water molecules, obviously that they get through their roots, are coming into the chloroplast in a leaf. Chlorophyll fills up these chloroplasts, and it's why leaves are green. And then it's making glucose, which they use as an energy storage molecule, and oxygen molecules, which you guys all know that that's what we breathe in next. Okay, so if you guys follow, here's a little carbon atom, the black circle, so you guys can follow it comes in as carbon dioxide and it leaves as glucose. Okay, so using energy from sunlight, carbon dioxide and water react to form glucose, an energy storage molecule, and oxygen. During this reaction, atoms are rearranged. The process of photosynthesis takes place in tiny cell parts called chloroplasts. Only producers have them, so only producers can do photosynthesis. In order to get the energy to do photosynthesis, producers need sunlight, and that's not 100% true. You guys will read some articles about some organisms that can go through photosynthesis using other means, so that's kind of cool too. They get their energy somewhere else. Photosynthesis happens in cell parts called chloroplasts. Sunlight is one reason some ecosystems have so many more energy storage molecules and so much more life than others. With more sunlight, producers and plants like algae can do more photosynthesis. They take more carbon out of the atmosphere and turn it into more energy storage molecules to meet their energy needs. As producers make more energy storage molecules, consumers, the animals that eat the producers, get more energy storage molecules from eating the producers. Those consumers use energy from the energy storage molecules to survive and reproduce, increasing in number. Then, secondary consumers, the ones that eat animals, are able to get more energy storage molecules from eating the primary consumers that ate the plants. Okay, so you guys kind of learned all about that in the last unit where we looked at, all right, here's a resource only, here's a consumer only, here's organisms that are both resource and consumer. Okay, and then we learned that, more energy storage molecules mean more reproduction for that organism and therefore a larger population number. An ecosystem that gets lots of sunlight can support lots of organisms, while an ecosystem that gets less sunlight can support fewer organisms. So really, you guys think of like the rainforest and that. It's closer to the equator, it gets a lot of sunlight. Therefore, we're going to have a lot more plants in there, and we're going to be able to sustain a lot more organisms that eat those plants. All right, here's a little picture. We got sun penetrating water, but it only penetrates so deep. So in deep lakes, there are many more organisms living in the shallow water where light can penetrate. In the deepest, darkest waters of a lake, not much life exists. So especially if you guys think of the ocean, how deep the ocean can get, there's very little life at the bottom, but there is some life that learn to live without the sunlight. So we'll talk a little bit about those. To find out about other ecosystems where the amount of sunlight has a big effect on the amount of living things, read one of the chapters that follow. So again, go and choose either Arctic seasons, coral reefs in clear water, or light shafts on the rainforest floor. Again, don't forget to circle which one you read. And then you guys can go ahead and do your wrap-up. Do you have any questions? Circle yes or no. If you have any questions, type them below. Obviously, if it's preventing you from completing this assignment, make sure you guys let me know right away so I can help you out. And then finally, 4, 3, 2, 1, how do you think you did on this assignment? And you are all done. Go ahead, make like a leaf. Make like a tree and leaf after you hand it in, of course. All right, have a great day, guys.